Today I will bring you to Manila in the Philippines.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Yes, hello and welcome again. This is already part 5 of this mini-series, Why Choose the German RS Demountable Flood Barrier. And I hope that you have listened to the previous parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, where I have explained some and described some examples from different application sites. So from the north of Germany, from Hamburg and from the Middle East. And I was mentioning the Kenyatta Airport in Kenya and so on and so forth. Today we move to the Philippines. And you know how storms usually give you a bit of heads up? Dark clouds, rising wind, that heavy smell in the air? Well, not this one. It was last evening, it was a late evening in a Southeast Asian capital in Manila, Philippines. And I'm quite often in Manila, of course, you know that, if you know me a little bit. The streets were still busy, offices still lit up, people hurrying home. Inside the government administration building, let's just say a very important one, the night shift was quietly working through their tasks. And then in less than 30 minutes, the rain went from drizzle to deluge. And drains overflowed, gutters turned into rivers, and the low-lying entrance of the building became the perfect target for an incoming wall of water. Now, here's the thing. In the past, that would have meant panic, calling in trucks with sandbags, getting workers out in the rain, hoping to block the flood before it reached the lobby. And that's exactly when things get dangerous. Late at night, short on manpower, with valuable government documents and electronics at risk. But this time, there was a plan. Months earlier, after a smaller flood had caused costly damage and embarrassing headlines, the buildings management called Flood Control Asia. You know that my company, Flood Control Asia as corporation, is located in Pampanga. That's a province south of Manila, so 80 kilometers away. And we recommended these demountable flood barriers with German technology, designed in Germany and with German material and technology. With two very specific advantages for their situation. Advantage number 1, an anti-theft design. The barriers could be stored securely on site in a locked rack, so no helpful hands from outside could remove them. And advantage number 2, a fast setup. Even with a skeleton night shift, they could install the barriers in minutes without calling in extra crews or equipment. So we trained the security and maintenance teams, and here's the critical part. They didn't need an engineering degree or a construction crew. Each panel weighed only 7 kilograms per meter. light enough for one person to carry in position, but strong enough to stop a flood dead in its tracks. By the way, there's also, I remember very well, we made a video about that. And there was a grandmother, so in her best years, let's say it this way, and she is a tiny lady, so it's not that strong like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she was able to insert slot in these demountable flat barriers in front of their main door. And that was really astonishing for everybody over there. And this older lady was so happy that she said, "Oh, now I feel safe, because very often my son and his wife are not around because they're on a business trip, and then I'm alone here with my older sister." And the grandson, who is still very young, so now I can manage it on my own. I do not need the help of neighbors or anybody else, because 7 kilogram per meter. And for this door, she exactly that had an opening of that was less than 1 meter, so easy to handle. Yeah, and. But way back to this governmental building, so when the storm hit that night, the night shift security guard triggered the plan. Within minutes, barriers were in place, sealed tight and ready. So the water piled up outside and inside. The lights stayed on, the computers kept humming, and the floor stayed dry. That was the most important thing. Perhaps somebody of the employees thought, "Oh, that wasn't that bad before. We were flooded, we had not to work." But then you had to clean, and then came the stress and the headache. So at the end, of course, they all appreciated it, that they were safe now. So the next morning, when the storm made the news, the building wasn't in the headlines for damage. It was in the headlines for being one of the few public offices that stayed open. They could operate. And here comes my golden nugget for you today in this mini-series, why I chose the German RS demountable flood barriers. The golden nugget of today is about, flood protection isn't just about strength. It's about speed and readiness. If your barriers are too heavy, too slow, or stored too far away, you've already lost. The RS system, the German RS system's anti-theft and fast setup design meant this government building didn't just survive a sudden flood, it did so without missing a single hour of operation. And if you manage a building where downtime is unacceptable, whether it is a government office, a corporate headquarters, or any facility that needs 24/7 uptime, then please contact with me. My name is Andreas Klippe, German engineer. I share proven case studies and practical strategies to make sure the next storm is just another day on the calendar. So add podcast to your message so I know you are one of our listeners. You find the links below this podcast description. And that's it for today already. The episode of Flood Protection Secrets, that was part 5 of this mini-series, Why Choose the German RS Demountable Flood Barrier. There will be still another part, so don't miss it. It will be very exciting, I can already tell you. So don't miss it. I would be very happy if I could welcome you again. Remember, the first flood is always too late. Prepare now and your next storm will be nothing more than background noise. Stay safe and flood free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.thefloodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering. German quality. Safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.